months ago where I just broke the whole thing down. God said, talk about gold, silver, talk about what Putin just did, talk about what Putin just did to the monetary system, which was a good thing, by the way. Okay. He and China coming together, backing their currency with gold, bringing righteous money back upon the face of the earth. All right. What does that mean? Well, what we're watching right now, we're watching the United States do everything in their power to defend the supremacy of a dying dollar. And there's lots going on. I had a dream last week. I think it was Wednesday or it might have been Tuesday. And I was sitting in a locker room, but it wasn't like an ordinary sports locker room. It was, I don't even know how to describe it, but there were rows of benches, and I know some pretty connected, influential people. Okay. So I know a lot of cats. Okay. And we were sitting in this locker room. It was kind of dungy, gray, smoky. And we were all wearing clothes as if we were back in the 30s. Weird. Like we had fedoras on, had old suits on, and we were sitting on these wooden benches in this locker room. And there was a row of guys facing us. And then we were facing this row of guys. The guy sitting next to me is a good friend of mine who is very connected politically and also in spiritual circles, both within China and in Canada and in America. Very influential in multiple circles. Strong Christian, good believer. And we were talking about, and I can't remember who started the conversation. I think it may have been me. I sense that the markets are about to crash. And the guy sitting across from me says, well, they've been talking about that for a long time. I said, well, they've been talking about it for a long time, but they have just printed another $100 trillion and popped it up. And we're watching this whole thing collapse now. I'm smelling in my spirit, it's drawing ever nearer, ever closer, that the time for the system of Babylon to come down. So I'm speaking this, and I'm having a conversation with this guy on the other bench looking my direction. The guy sitting next to me, who's this buddy of mine, he says, oh yeah, it's already been all orchestrated right down to the time. It's going to happen at 4:00 on the 22nd. They've already planned it. So this is a dream. So I don't know, maybe 4 and I was dreaming. So I don't know what time of the day. It was probably sometime between 3 and 4, probably. Anyway, I get up about 5:30 that particular morning, and the dream is still here. So I pull out my calendar and I look, what day is October 22nd? It's a Saturday. Markets aren't open on Saturday. So I go, what does that mean? Well, started thinking about, here's what it means. Most people aren't watching the markets. The only ones that are really watching the markets are the guys that are actively trading the markets. The rest of us, we hear what happens after the event has taken place. I mean, now, there are days where I'll go and look at what the market is doing, but I don't actively watch the market. Okay, so this makes sense. If it goes down and the markets all close at 3:00, the markets close at 3:00 every day. So if the markets close at 3:00 on a Friday, that's 3. By the time the rest of the world hears this, because we've been busy picking up our kids and doing our shopping and cooking our dinners and doing whatever we're doing Friday, Saturday, most of us don't find out about it until Saturday. So that's the 22nd. And I go, okay, that's a pretty reasonable explanation, because usually in the past, when they've crashed a market or they've had a bank holiday, and by the way, a bank holiday is not a vacation, okay? A bank holiday is code for this ain't good. And I've seen a few of them where they've actually shut down the entire banking system of a country over the course of, they did it in Austria 18 months ago. They literally shut off all the ATM machines in the entire country for an entire weekend. I think they test the system. There was a whole series of banks in Texas. They took them down. They took them offline for an entire weekend. In this day of redundancy and technology, that shouldn't happen. They're testing the system. All right. Well, some of you will know the name Bo Polney. Some of you may not know the name Bo Polney. I know Bo Polney. I've met him a couple times. I actually had dinner with him once. Just me and his wife. We sat and dined. So I can't say that I'm a good friend of his, but I can say that I know him. I follow him. He's a psychoanalyst. He follows cycles. He's a cyclical follower. But the difference between him and all the other psychoanalysts is he's a biblical psychoanalyst. And he matches all these things up. When oil hit 0, a year and a half ago. He called it a year before it happened, right to the date of its occurrence. When gold hit its all-time high, he called it almost to the very hour it happened, 6 months in advance. When it crashed to its lowest, when they started manipulating the markets, he knew it because he follows biblical cycles and he matches them up to the financial markets. He came out last week and said, October 24th, the whole thing is going down. So I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do today. All right. I have been actively liquidating my portfolio. Not that there was much after all the thefts and everything else that got stolen. We literally been eating our retirement accounts. There's nothing left to retire on. But what little is left, I'm not going to sell it all. There are some stocks that I want to hang on to. Because here's the thing. If your stocks, so if I trade through TD Canada Trust, they have this thing called EasyWeb, an Easy Trader, and I can go in there and I can execute, I can buy some stuff, I can sell some stuff, and I can move money into my bank account, into my stock account, out of my stock account, back into my bank account. It's very convenient. The problem with it is, even though my account shows that I own those stocks are actually owned by TD, and I'm credited with having purchased them. You do not own a stock unless you actually hold the stock certificate in your hand. So today, what I am doing is I'm calling TD, and I called them a month ago to see if it's possible and how long it would take. It takes a couple of days. I asked, can you take these stocks of mine out of common holding and send me the actual stock certificates? Yes, we can do it. To do it, we need to do two things. We need to move them out of your TFSA. So here in Canada, we have a thing called tax-free savings accounts, and we have a thing called RRSPs, which are like your, what do you call them? Your retirement accounts. The name escapes me, but you got a name for that. Everybody knows it in the States. All right, your IRA account. Okay, so basically today, I'm going to instruct them to take them out of common holding, out of my TFSA, and move them into my stock account, into my holding account. And then tomorrow, once that's done, I'm going to request that they send me the actual stock certificates so that I hold them in my hand. And then when the system goes, I still own the stock, because I think some of these companies are still going to be standing. But if the stocks are held in there, I don't know what's going to happen to them, because in 2016, every G20 country issued a new set of rules called the bail-in rules. I'm not going to go through all of that today. Just know it ain't good. It means they used to bail them out. Now they're going to let you bail them in. They're going to use your money, your stocks, to bail themselves out. And not conspiracy theory. Paul Harper, under Stephen Harper, Paul Martin wrote this for Canada. Every G20 between 2012 and 2014 drafted up their new legislations, and every G20 put these new rules into effect in 2016. So, okay, they wouldn't change the banking regulations if they didn't plan on using them. Okay, so I'm telling you, just be smart. Now, our God is going to cover us. Our God is going to protect us, but He's just given me a warning shot. Things are heating up now. Babylon is coming down. Now, this is not to be fearful. He's gonna provide for his kids. But for those of us, if you got a sizable balance in the bank, start moving some money out. I mean, the whole issue with this fast trader thing is even many people now that have approved fast trade, not fast, and fast trader is not the problem. The problem is the bank and NDAX, which is basically moving money from the bank so you can get it over into the fast trader system. Even those with verified NDAX accounts now, the banks are saying we're not letting the money, we're not going to transfer the money. What do you mean you're not transferring? It's my money. I got a validated account over there, and they're holding it up. Why? Because they see what's happening on a large corporate money, institutional money knows what's happening. This is why the rich get richer, because they know what's coming before it comes. And there has been a massive flight of capital out of the banking system, which then makes it unstable. So the banks are doing everything in their power now to stop the flow of money moving out of the system. So we got to find, there was a time when, after we sold our house, there was a balance there. And I said, well, I don't trust the bank. I'm going to put some in gold. I'm going to put some in silver. I'm going to put some in cash. And every time I went in and asked for more than, so if I asked for $2,500, they say, what's it for? And I'd say, it's none of your business. It's my money. Well, not according to the 2016 bank regulations. The minute you put a deposit in the bank, you're now considered you've just loaned your money to the bank. It's theirs under these new regulations. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that, because it's a so I just started getting creative about it. I started moving 5,000 at a time. And they would always ask me, what's it for? But I realized, I mean, I can argue with them. It's none of your business. But if I start arguing with them, they're just going to block it. They're going to make life difficult. So I just found creative ways to be friendly about it. So one day I'd go in and I'd look for $5,000. I go, what's it for? Well, I found this incredible bicycle on Craigslist. A $5,000 bicycle. I said, haven't you seen that stuff that the guys at the Tour de France are riding? Oh yeah. I said, yeah, this is my exercise machine. Okay, enjoy your new bike. Then I go back a couple days later. I need 5,000 and go to a different teller. I need $5,000. What's it for? Oh, I got my wife a new car. What'd you get her? A BMW. You found a BMW for $5,000? No, man, I found it on Craigslist. I've already cut a check for the first part of it. This is just to pay it off, to transfer the plates. Oh, okay, enjoy your new car. And I can't tell you how many bicycles, how many watches, how many cars, how many everythings I bought in the course of that year as I started bringing money out $5,000 at a time. Because if I know it's $5,000 at a time, I'm not flagging anybody. So you just got to get creative about this. You're going to want to get some cash out of that system. I keep talking about it. I had this dream a week ago. I wasn't ready to say anything about it because I needed a spirit check on it, but it wouldn't leave me alone. And then I turned on Bo Polney on Friday night, and there he is talking about the 24th and showing the cyclical reason for it. You want to watch his interview, you go to Gold on YouTube, Gold 2020 Forecast. His name is Bo Polney. Go look for the thing that he posted last week about October 24th. Go watch that. All right. And just be smart. Now, I'm not trying to instill any fear here. That's not what this is. I'm smelling some stuff, and I'm passing on what I'm smelling. God's going to take care of us. We're moving into the promised land. The season of abundance is ready to fall. For those of you who got some money in the bank, you can create a little cushion for yourself. You got a heads up. I'm not prophetically saying the whole system comes down on Monday next week, but I've had dreams and I've been right about these things before. So I don't know. I'm smelling something. I think we're going to start to see a series of financial tremors go off. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be fearful of it. Trust God. We go by faith and not by fear. We go by faith and not by sight. Okay? He's going to take care of us. I don't know how he's going to do it. And that was his for 4 or 5 weeks, that was the message. Quit trying to figure out how I'm going to do it and just trust that I am. Quit trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. Just trust that I will, says God. But for those of us that have balances that we should probably, and by the way, with this whole bail-in thing, I think if you only got $1,000 in the bank, you're not a target. They're coming after the guys with 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, $1 million. That's what they're going to be targeting. Okay. But if you think it can't happen, they did it in Cyprus. In 2016, in Cyprus, they confiscated all the accounts, all the money in all the bank accounts. They always run a trial. They always float a trial balloon first. They've done it already. They've done it before. After the rules were implemented in 2016, they went and tested it in Cyprus, and then they ran limited amounts of it. They did it in Austria. They did it in Texas, but nobody talks about it because it gets suppressed in the media. I'm just saying. I think I smell something on the horizon now. We've been calling for the fall of Babylon. I personally been calling for the fall of our political systems and of our financial system, because that is the thing that enslaves us, even though it's the thing we become reliant upon. No, we need to be reliant upon God. But if you got some resources in there, pull some out. Just be smart. Get some out. Get some in your hands. You can, if nothing happens, you can always put it back. That's the thing. If nothing happens, you can put it back. As for me and my house, we're not putting anything back. I'm doing nothing but taking out. Now, there isn't much to take out, but we take it out. We take it out. We take it out. And I want to have enough. So how do you do it? I mean, well, don't you have to pay your bills? Yeah. Every time I need to pay a bill, I just put enough back in to cover the bill that's about to come up. But I don't want to be vulnerable with it sitting there. So I still use the system because I'm forced to use the system. I still got to pay electricity like everybody else, and cable and rents and all kinds of things. So what do? I leave enough there to cover my immediate obligation. And then before the next obligation, I put enough in there to cover it. but I won't leave it there because I don't know the day or the hour. But I think I trust Bo, and the thing he's got a track record. Now he's not always 100% right. Nobody's 100% right, but he's more right than he's wrong. I've had a dream and I've been suspecting these things. So I just lift that. I lay that before you. You do. Now you go and pray about it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Now you go pray about it. You go talk. You serve the same God that I serve. He'll talk to you the way he talks to me. So now each of us, because none of our circumstances are the same. Every one of us. If there's 100 people on this call today, there's 100 different sets of circumstances here. So we go pray to him. He knows our circumstance and he'll start to speak to you. Or what should I do with this information I picked up today? Should I do nothing? Should I do something? David said, should I pursue them? And on one occasion, God says, no, don't pursue them. And on second, God, should we pursue them? Yes, go pursue them and take everything. So he'll talk to us. Trust him to do that.